What's going on, you guys? This is your boy Brian here. I'm working on my next video. Today we have a lot of wrestling rumors that are going around that we're going to touch on. There's a couple stories about pre-WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, and a couple call-ups, a new GM, a couple of trades from Raw to SmackDown, some new signings, and you know what? Let's talk about sex.
Come on. Let's talk about sex, baby.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Brian back again. Yeah, today we're going to talk about something very interesting. We're going to be talking about leaked sex tapes and hacking. As some of you may know, recently a new version of the quote-unquote fapping is coming out. This occurred about 3 years ago, where a lot of celebrities had their information stolen from the iCloud. Um, People like Jennifer Lawrence, Olympian Hope Solo, had a bunch of private photos and videos stolen out of their phones, and a lot of it was posted on the internet for people to see. There was another rumor going around that a new fapping is actually coming out, and a couple of people have already been leaked. Some of their photos are online. Now, I know you may ask yourself, what the hell does that have to do with professional wrestling? Well, if you're a real wrestling fan and you either go on TMZ or any of those social sites, Twitter, Instagram, you may have heard that a current WWE superstar has been hacked. Her name is Paige. She is a former multi-time women's champion in WWE and NXT women's champion. She's only 24 years of age. She's a British superstar who got signed with the WWE at a very young age, at 19. Um, she has been one of the bigger stars in the WWE. Currently, right now, she's recovering from an injury, and she hasn't been seen on WWE television in a while. Um, a couple days ago, I came home and I saw my Facebook was starting to blow up with a little bit of information talking about Paige was being hacked and she's the third person in the new fapping. And I still, don't get me wrong, it's very weird for even me to say fapping. I think that's such a stupid term. Um, so, of course, like most men would do, I researched it. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to see the goods. It's like most people out there. Um, yeah, unfortunately, this is a very bad situation, and in the professional wrestling business, this time is one of the most heightened times in pro wrestling where things like this really start to be put in the public eye. This is the season where WrestleMania is coming. Like currently, as of today, today is March 19th. Um, WrestleMania is going to be in about 2 weeks from today. And it's the biggest, highest profiled event for them. It is their version of the Super Bowl or Game 7 in either hockey, basketball, or baseball. You know, it's the culmination of the year for them. It's their season finale. Um, and they're in the public eye a lot. They're doing lots of interviews, they're doing lots of promotion, they're at different events, charity events, things like that. Um, and for something like this to come out during this time period is huge news. It's kind of like back, especially being from New England, it's kind of like that 2 week gap where the Super Bowl doesn't happen and this stupid thing called the Flakegate that they couldn't prove. Yes, I'm sour about that still. Whatever. Became such a huge story and it overshadowed the fact that the Patriots were even in the Super Bowl. Now, with this, Paige isn't currently active on the roster. So most people would think, okay, maybe it's not going to affect the WWE in that form. But let me continue, please. In the videos and in the photos that were shown, there were sexual acts being performed. In a lot of the photos, you see stills of just her taking selfies. I'm not going to get too graphic in detail, but she was nude, she was posing nude, she was exposing herself in different times and places. In the video portions of it, there were a couple of her solo moments, a couple times where she's performing acts with an adult toy, let's say. There were also footage of her having sexual encounter with her at the time boyfriend. Her at the time boyfriend was a man by the name of Brad Maddox. Now, some wrestling fans might know who this is. He was a wrestler who was down in NXT around the same time when Paige arrived in NXT, which is WWE's development. They were together at the time when these were being filmed. Um, there were scenes of them having regular intercourse. There was oral being performed. There was, just sex. You guys are adults, and I'm assuming some teens would know about this. But yes, there were sexual acts being performed. Brad Maddox was a former wrestler, like I stated before. He ended up being called up to the main roster as a referee for WWE. He was involved in a couple of storylines. He was an assistant to one of the GMs of Raw, and then at one point actually became the general manager of Raw, which in pro wrestling is a very high like standard. And like pretty much you are the boss of this TV show. Brad had that for a couple of months until he was finally released by the WWE a few years ago. So Brad is currently not employed by the WWE. Um, but in one of the videos that was there was a scene where it was a three-person menage a trois, a threesome, whatever you want to call it. And there was a third person in the video. Now, when I heard about this information on Friday, the third person was never spoken of. Come to find out Saturday morning that the third person was identified. It was an African American gentleman, and you could clearly see Brad in his portion of the video while Paige and the other gentleman were engaging in sex. The third person, come to find out, was actually a very high profile person, and this is where WrestleMania comes into play. The third person in the video was identified as New Day member Xavier Woods. He is part of one of the biggest groups in WWE, one of the longest reigning tag team champions of all time. They are the highest merchandise sellers in WWE right now, next to John Cena. And currently this year, when it comes to WrestleMania, the New Day are actually going to be the host of WrestleMania. Um, this is where something like this really does cause a stir because he's going to be such an intricate part of this year's WrestleMania event that people are going to look at him and, obviously they're going to be thinking, hey, he was the guy who was banging Paige in a three-way. It sucks for especially a guy like him, plus, everybody else in the video, but especially currently right now when it comes to the sport of professional wrestling and the presentation of it, that he's going to be very high profiled and doing lots of media, plus being a focal point of the show, that, it's going to draw a dark cloud and people are going to question and people are going to pry into his personal business, which does suck. There were reports over the weekend that he was actually pulled from this weekend's WWE house show events. Um, excuse me, which come to find out was not true. He was actually out at the South by Southwest Gaming Awards, and he was one of the hosts of the award show and presenting awards and giving awards out to everybody. So, if anybody wonders, that is the real reason why he was not at the house shows this weekend. But there are rumors that they're going to try to pull him and the rest of the New Day off of Raw for the next 2 weeks before WrestleMania, just to keep a low profile, and hopefully something like this will blow over for them, which would be great, especially for him, But, when it comes to things like this, people don't forget. And going back to Paige, it does suck because, it's mainly about her. And currently, while she's out recouping from her injury, she is also having a movie being filmed about her life. They were signed to a major deal. It's a big movie production company that is doing this, and she's actually having her movie being produced by The Rock. Some of you fans may know that a couple weeks ago when WWE was in Chicago, after the Raw portion of the live TV show was off the air, um, Dwayne The Rock Johnson came out and they explained to the crowd there they are filming scenes for Paige's movie, and had two girls come out, one actually being independent wrestler by the name of Thea Trinidad, playing the role of AJ Lee, and a young lady, I don't really know her name off the top of my head, excuse me for not knowing it, playing the character of Paige. And they filmed the day that Paige debuted after WrestleMania. and where she won her first WWE Women's Championship. Excuse me, it was a Divas Championship at the time. Um, this girl has a lot going on in her life right now. She's also one of the stars of the ETV show Total Divas. Um, she was one of the probably wildest characters on the show, and unfortunately, in my eyes and in a lot of people's eyes, with what occurred with what was leaked and is online about her now, it kind of fits the way she was being portrayed on the show. She's young, she's naive, she likes to have fun, she's wild, she's the party girl. Um, and it sucks because not even just with Paige, but all the celebrities out there that are hacked right now, it sucks for them because, these are private, intimate photos that you have with your significant other or wherever else you want to do it, or just by yourself. These are things that are private to you that you try to keep a close guard on. And, some idiot hacker or some guy who found their phone is posting this information online. So to a lot of celebrities out there, um, you know, unfortunately, you are in the public eye. People will look at you. People know who you are, whether you are yourself or you are portraying a character. You are somebody that the public wants to see. And even just this topic alone, for me, it like I feel bad about it as a fan because this isn't something around WrestleMania time that I should be bringing up. Just like my intro said earlier, this is, a really big news time in the world of professional wrestling. And it sucks. It sucks for people like Paige, and like some of the other names that are being thrown out, like Emma Watson, from the Harry Potter series. It sucks for people like them because they're just celebrities who are human beings like me and you are. And unfortunately, being in the public eye, things like this occur. And it's not just like your friend seeing one of your nude photos while swiping left on your phone. This is on the internet. It's something that the world is going to see. People are able to, keep copies of these things for their own personal pleasure or, just to be evil and hold it against you at times. And it sucks. So that's just my personal opinion on that. And I know the Horn Dog Wrestling fan might enjoy this. And it's another one of those situations where people are being hacked. But there are rumors that there are two other WWE divas that are on that list of people that are being hacked. One of them is the current NXT Women's Champion by the name of Asuka, which, if some of you don't know, Asuka is actually a really big star from Japan who came over to the United States. She's currently undefeated. She's been in the WWE for over a year now. She's amazing, and don't get me wrong, she is beautiful as hell. Anybody who knows me knows that I love me some Asuka. She is fine as hell. She also works for some of you who don't know, she actually works for, the Xbox magazine over there in Japan. She's actually an editor. She's also a game designer. She's designed apps. Um, she's very well versed in the technological world. She is, currently one of the biggest stars in NXT and is on that verge where she's about to be called up to the main roster. And something like this, if it is true with her, could affect her stock greatly. And another person that is rumored to be on this list, and I know a lot of people may love this one, and being from New England, it hurts my heart to say this, Sasha Banks is also rumored to be on that list. And another thing with Sasha, not only is she also going to be featured at WrestleMania in one of the high profile women's matches on the card, she just recently opened up to Lillian Garcia on her podcast about being married. Anybody who watches the show Up, Up, Down, Down on YouTube, Xavier Woods' gaming channel, may know a young man on there by the name of Makazi. He works for the WWE. He's at all the shows. Come to find out, him and Sasha have been married, and they kept that private for a while. Now, with these rumors going around and the information being leaked out, and I hope for her sake as well as Makazi's sake that this isn't true, but the rumors are there are some images and videos of her as well with men on there, and it does not seem to be Makazi. So hopefully it's not true. Hopefully these women I wish them the best of luck. I hopefully this doesn't affect them at WrestleMania or further on down the line. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this Paige sex tape thing. It sucks, it sucks for her, it sucks for Brad, it sucks for Xavier Woods, and it also sucks for her current fiance, a man that a lot of you may know as Alberto Del Rio, or he's being known as now as Alberto El Patron. He currently works for TNA. Him and Paige have been very public. There's a lot of issues within WWE about them two being together at the time when he left. That's another thing that sucks about the story is the fact that she is engaged to a man, another high profile man, another person who is out in the public eye, who's very well known. Hopefully, hopefully for Paige and Del Rio, this all blows over and this is forgot about, even though I know I am making a video about this. Um, I wish them the best, and I wish everybody the best. I wish Brad the best, excuse me. I wish Sasha and Asuka and Xavier Woods, man. It sucks because especially after the run this guy just had as your longest reigning WWE World Tag Team Champions, and having the honor, even though they should have a match at WrestleMania, but being the host of WrestleMania. These days, it's a really big thing. So, I wish everybody involved in this situation the very best. And hopefully, with WrestleMania being 2 weeks away, we can focus back on wrestling. And now, this is where I transition to the wrestling rumors that are going around right now. There are rumors going around about a possible trade after Mania. Um, on SmackDown, there was an angle that was brought out between AJ Styles and Shane McMahon. The rumors are they're going to be having a match at WrestleMania. It hasn't been official yet, but there's a rumor match between AJ and Shane McMahon for Mania. Earlier on in the show, before Shane came out at the very end and said that AJ had a match, when he was brutally attacked by AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, in character, fired AJ. I know it was in character, but it got to the point where even on the WWE website, they have AJ Styles under the alumni section for guys who are no longer with the company. So they are either very committed to this angle or they are literally getting rid of AJ Styles, which anybody in their right mind would figure out that that's not what they're doing. But there have been rumors that Vince McMahon himself is a huge fan of AJ Styles. He would like to have AJ on Monday Night Raw. Now, there's rumors going around that they're working on some type of trade angle the night after WrestleMania in a way to bring AJ over to Monday Night Raw. Now, a lot of people asking yourself, who are they going to trade for AJ? There's been rumors about guys like Sami Zayn being brought over to SmackDown. There's been rumors of the New Day within itself being brought over to SmackDown, which has to do with another rumor, which I'm going to bring up right after. But personally, I've heard rumors, and I think personally this guy would be great on SmackDown. And I know a lot of people may not like him. I'm not a fan of how they booked him. I'm going to say this again. How they booked him. Not the guy himself, even though I'm still not too fond of that guy either. But how they booked him and his angles so far in WWE has been horrible. People have been booing this man out of the building. Roman Reigns. Now, personally, I think it would be great for Roman to move over to SmackDown because SmackDown show, since the brand split has occurred, has been a very detailed show. They're building up a lot of characters. Like Baron Corbin has looked amazing over the past couple of weeks on SmackDown. You're getting guys like Mojo Rawley, who's actually going to get a chance to shine. I think especially with Zack Ryder's injury and the Hype Bro team being put on hold for now, this is Mojo's time to actually get out there and shine on his own. Girls like Carmella, who was basically the manager or the side piece to the Enzo and Cass gimmick, even though in real life she dates Cass. Alexa Bliss, who is to me one of my favorite diva characters, even though she's doing the whole Harley Quinn thing and the sassy attitude type stuff. I think it would be really good for a guy like Roman to be put on SmackDown because they can actually build his character. Because to me, and I know I said I was going to do a Roman video within itself, but I think it's just better for me to say this. Roman Reigns is stuck in the Shield mode when the other two members of the Shield have already moved on. Seth Rollins, he's his own man. Dean Ambrose, he's his own man. Roman has been prototypical white bread sliced up, nothing cool about it. He still comes out with the Shield armor, comes out with the Shield music. He was coming out through the crowd for a long period of time until they finally realized, okay, people are booing the shit out of this guy. Let's not, put him in danger. Let's just have him come down the ramp. Um, Roman's a really good worker, and he has great matches with guys like AJ, like Brock, like Sheamus, like Cesaro, And on SmackDown, they can actually do something with a guy like him. They can actually put him against one of the hottest heels in the company right now, The Miz, and start a program through there. You can have him do matches with John Cena, things like that. And it would just be a better, opening for this guy. He'd have a new canvas, clean slate, just repackage him, bring him on SmackDown, let him do his thing. AJ going to Raw, to me, would be awesome too, because AJ is, and I've been saying this for the past 10 years now, the best performer in that ring, no matter what company you're on. Don't matter if you're TNA, ROH, New Japan, CMLL, AAA, you name it, AJ is the man. Right now, the only other guy who's drawing enough buzz in that ring is a guy like Kenny Omega, who's over still in Japan. But AJ to Raw, he is their best performer. He is their flag bearer for this company now, and honestly, he should be on a 3-hour show like Raw if you give him the time to go out there and actually do his thing. Um, so yeah, that's enough about the trade rumor. Let's go to the after Mania debuts. Um, there's been a lot of like back and forth going on between Vince McMahon and Triple H about the debut of one of the biggest international stars that WWE has on their roster and has been chilling in NXT for about a year now. For those of you who do not know him, his name is Shinsuke Nakamura. He is the king of strong style. He is one of the biggest stars in Japan. Um, he has been probably the best worker WWE's had all year. If they even did a Slammy Award, Nakamura could have won for best babyface or any of his like three great matches between him and Sami Zayn when he first debuted, or him and Finn Balor on an episode of NXT, or the match with him and Joe when he won the title the first time, where he supposedly quote unquote broke Samojo's jaw. Um, Triple H being so hands on with SmackDown, he actually wants a guy like Nakamura on SmackDown. Vince has been trying to pull him to Raw because Raw is Vince's baby. It's been around for almost 20 years, 30 years now. Um, and to me, in my eyes, if you were to pull off that trade that we were talking about a second ago with AJ and Roman Reigns, and you were to take Nakamura, call him up, and put him on Raw, the Raw lineup would probably be the best wrestling lineup on planet Earth, let alone in the history of WWE and on Monday Night Raw. You would have AJ Styles, you would have a Nakamura, you would have Seth Rollins, you'd have Kevin Owens, you'd have Chris Jericho if he was to stay around, you'd have Cesaro, you'd have Sheamus, you'd have all of these guys, you'd have a bunch of tag teams. You got a women division that's very strong, even though it's about 4 or 5 girls deep right now. And you still have the cruiserweight division, which thankfully, as a fan, they're starting to actually let these guys go in the ring and not do 2 or 3 minute matches. You're giving them 6, 7 minutes on a 3-hour show, WWE. You can give these guys more time. That's how they get over. Just saying, sorry. Um, but as a fan, I would actually like Nakamura to go to Raw. Plus, he wears red. And to me, it would make Raw a very watchable show because you would have to, with guys like that, I would say tone down the storylines just a little bit, and you could actually just focus on what's going on in the ring. Like let these guys go out there and do what they're paid to do, which is wrestle. I understand it's World Wrestling Entertainment, but the part that everyone forgets is the wrestling part. Like you can have, with all due respect, and I like these guys, they're very entertaining to me. You can have Enzo and Cass go out there and do a 10-minute promo talking about a cup of haters, and what do we got over here? Just shit like that. And it is quite entertaining. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. Or you can have the New Day come out, and they're working on ice cream. And by the way, if New Day ice cream is a real thing and it's debuting at Mania, I will be buying some. Bring back the WWE ice cream bars, but New Day ice cream, I'll give it a shot. I wasn't a fan of the Budios. Um, but yeah, like it would definitely give a kickstart to Raw if a guy like Nakamura was brought up the night after Raw, which is one of the biggest shows of the year because there's always surprises, there's always a title change. Um, Nakamura to Raw would be a huge thing. On the SmackDown side, there has been rumors about a tag team being called up. Now, for the past year, and I want to say about a year and a half now, there's been one tag team down in NXT who has been killing it. They've had great matches with teams like American Alpha, DIY, what is it, the Authors of Pain, who I love. I love the Authors of Pain. Those guys should be on your TV on Mondays or Tuesdays very, very soon too. But the tag team I'm talking about is Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. They're known as the Revival. The Revival, to me, are probably the best tag team I have seen in years, since back in the days when the Motor City Machine Guns and the Briscoes from Ring of Honor were going at it. Um, the Revival are an old school throwback tag team, but they are a heel tag team, but they do it to a T. Their tag team work has been great. They're the guys, no matter how good they are, you want to hate these guys. They do all the little dirty tricks and they make it look so good. Transitions are amazing. Um, their finishing move, the Shatter Machine, which is like their version of a 3D slash code breaker, it looks great when they hit it on somebody, man. These guys are two-time NXT Tag Team Champions. They're actually fighting at the NXT show in Orlando for WrestleMania weekend. But don't be surprised if they actually get called up to SmackDown and feud them with guys like American Alpha, and they can renew that rivalry that they had down in NXT. Personally, I'm a huge fan of these guys. I think they're going to be great for the tag team division, especially on SmackDown. It will be something that will give that shot, quote unquote, don't mind the pun, a revival to the SmackDown tag team division. And these guys deserve it. They work really hard, man. They're very good. They're great on the microphone. They have an interesting look to them. And they're two tough guys, man. I give them props, and hopefully they do get called up to SmackDown soon. All right. Now, to the next set of rumors that I heard. Supposedly there's going to be a new Evolution group being debuted shortly. There's been rumors going around about Triple H wanting a new stable because there's not many stables on Raw. You know, you do have the New Day. On SmackDown, you have the Wyatt family. But even as a fan like myself, to go back old school for you guys, I know this doesn't seem too old, but we're going to feel old. Um, Back in the late 90s, you know, we had groups like DX. We had groups like Los Baricuas. We had groups like, you know, the Ministry. We had groups like the NWO. We had NWO Wolfpack. Too sweet me. Down, too sweet me. All right. But sometimes in wrestling, stables need to be around. And of course, back in his day, Triple H had Evolution. Evolution was a stable of, you know, a wily veteran like Ric Flair, a present modern day champion in Triple H, and he had two guys for the future. His two guys for the future were a gentleman by the name of Dave Bautista. If you don't know who Dave Bautista is, you've probably never seen Guardians of the Galaxy. This guy was a monster. Even in WWE, he was still like a beast. He wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but he got over with the fans, and he was very good, man. And another guy who became a future Hall of Famer and is probably, I want to say, fourth on the list of most championships, world championships ever won in WWE, by the name of Randy Orton. Um, with that stable, Triple H pretty much put these guys on a pedestal and boosted their careers. He gave them, you know, the little bit of cred that they needed to go on further in the company, to the point where he turned on Randy Orton and Batista turned on him and pushed them both to the moon, man. Made both of those guys stars. Currently, right now, Triple H is actually in the back working on a plan, and the seeds have been planted. If you've been watching Raw closely, there are two guys who he's planning on recruiting. The first one being the Destroyer, Samoa Joe, who I love in this role. Samoa Joe could be the Arn Anderson, the hitman, the guy who, you know, is the enforcer of the group. You know, he's the badass. He's the guy that nobody wants to fuck with. You know, Triple H is getting older. His body isn't going to keep up with him forever, as great as he looks. A guy like Samoa Joe, even though he's in his 30s as well, he's still fresh in WWE fans' minds, and he looks like a killer. Samoa Joe, I'm a huge fan of. I've been a fan of his for years. When I actually started to do training for wrestling, he was my inspiration, seeing a guy that big who can move around the ring and fly and is powerful and can slam anybody and take him down. Um, I think Joe is going to be an amazing fit for this group. The second member, if you've been paying attention to Raw, you're starting to see the little seedlings being dropped, is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens being a former Universal Champion. Kevin Owens, to me, is one of the best performers in professional wrestling, hands down. I've been following him since Ring of Honor when he was Kevin Steen. The guy has an amazing move set. His credibility is already there. He's been NXT champion. He's been Intercontinental champion. He is the former Universal champion, like I stated. He has wins over some huge names in the company. He is a star. Kevin Owens is a star. Whether he's a heel or a babyface, this guy is entertaining on the microphone. Just look a couple weeks ago to the Festival of Friendship with him and Chris Jericho. That was awesome. And quote unquote, a lot of wrestling fans were crying inside because the friendship was over. But KO is awesome. He's going to be, in my eyes, probably either the Randy Orton of the group or could be the Triple H of the group. And there's been a lot of speculation about who the fourth member would be. Um, One name I've been hearing a lot about has been a guy from the UK tournament. I don't know how many people watch the UK tournament, but there was a guy on there, and from the first day of the tournament, he stole the show. The crowd went apeshit for him. He was one of the best in-ring competitors during that tournament, and his character was like super charismatic. You could have shot him to the moon with how much rocket fuel this had. His name is Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is also known as the Bruiserweight. He's a short guy, but he's stocky. He has a singlet kind of like Taz with the Daniel Bryan maroon colors. He has long curly hair, has the huge gauge in his ear. Um, and Pete Dunne's a great wrestler, man. I think if he's going to be the Randy Orton of the group, the future star, I think it's a super smart choice. Um, this new evolution group does sound very interesting. It's definitely going to be a shot in the arm, something after Mania type deal, where you're going to, try to boost up the ratings for WWE. And a group like that with those type of characters in it, Triple H can play the background, and you got guys like KO who can talk. You got Samoa Joe who can talk. You got Pete Dunne who can talk. That group can go and run Raw and run Roughshod. And going back to my other two articles that I was just talking about, AJ Styles on Raw could feud with him. Nakamura on Raw could feud with him. You can do all these things. Plus, with Pete Dunne being from the UK tournament, you can bring in a guy like a Tyler Bate or a Trent Seven. Um, and Tyler Bate, by the way, I don't really haven't had a chance to really bring him up yet, but Tyler Bate is awesome. That kid is 19 years old. If you have a chance to go online and look up the UK tournament and look up Tyler Bate, the kid is jacked. He is an amazing wrestler. He's entertaining. The guy gets over just doing this to the fans. He's waving at fans, and he gets over with that. But no, Tyler Bate is awesome. Him and Pete Dunne on Raw competing for that, UK title would be something very entertaining. Or Pete Dunne winning the UK title and being part of this new Evolution group would be awesome. So yeah, so that's the story about the new Evolution group. We're gonna go to the GM now. There's been a lot of rumors going around about Mick Foley being done with the company soon. As you guys noticed, last Monday on Raw, they did an angle where Stephanie was forcing him to try to fire somebody, and he ended up ultimately trying to fire Stephanie. But they're looking for a way right now to write Mick Foley off of Raw. For some of you who don't know, Mick Foley is actually going to be having hip surgery soon. And it's going to be something that is going to take him out of his position on Raw, and he's not going to be able to be there every week. And there's been rumors going around about a current replacement for him when they actually do the angle with him being fired. There has been one name that's been thrown around a lot. He is currently going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. This could be something that could work in storylines in the long run. Is a guy by the name of Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time WWE champion, multiple-time TNA champion, NWA champion. The guy's wrestled over in Japan. If you don't know who Kurt Angle is and you're watching professional wrestling, slap yourself. Seriously. Um, Kurt Angle is probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Like, in my opinion, he is a top five in-ring performer. Kurt Angle is amazing. He has no problem making fun of himself. If you ever get a chance to look up any of Kurt Angle's funniest moments, anybody who remembers Austin with the beer truck, you should look up Kurt Angle with the milk truck. The guy is throwing milk, like the old school cartons that we used to get in school, the ones that you flip open and drink. He was chucking them at people, and it's one of the funniest things ever. The guy's taking a milk bath, pouring milk on himself. I shouldn't be doing this, especially after talking about the Paige sex tape. Uh, but you guys get what I'm saying. No, Kurt Angle is an amazing man. He's an amazing performer. He's had a lot of issues in the past that he's dealt with alcoholism and DUIs and drugs and all this other stuff, but he's cleaned his life up. And he's going to be going into the WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania. Um, to me, Kurt Angle replacing Mick Foley as GM would be great. It would give him more TV time. It will reconnect him with the WWE crowd, especially all the younger people who don't know who he really is. This will give him a chance to actually go out there and present himself in a new light as being a GM for Raw. And I really, with all the respect to Mick Foley, I know he's going to be going away for health reasons, but I do hope they do choose a guy like Kurt Angle. It would be great television, especially with Stephanie McMahon, the way she emasculates all of these guys. Kurt Angle would be someone that you could actually, present to us, and he won't come across like a little bitch. No disrespect to Mick Foley, but with such prestige, a Hall of Famer, an Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time champion. He's actually wrestled and had Stephanie as his manager. He's kissed Stephanie before, storyline-wise, on the show. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be a great interaction. It would be, a butting of heads from time to time. And Kurt would be someone that the fans would respect. And, God forbid down the line, if he is feeling better, because I know he's currently competing right now. He's wrestled all over the world recently. He's wrestled for WCPW. He's wrestled in Connecticut recently against Cody Rhodes. Um, Kurt can still go. The guy's like 45, 46 years old, but the man can still go, man. He can go in that ring with these young boys like it's nobody's business. Kurt Angle, GM of Raw, in my eyes, he gets a thumbs up. Um, yeah, and the last little bit of news that we have are some rumored signings by WWE. There are currently a couple free agents that are available right now that are looking to be signed by the WWE, and there's rumors that they're going to be heading down towards NXT really soon. The first name that was brought up is a guy by the name of Lio Rush. I've seen Lio Rush live for XWA. He is one of the top prospects from Ring of Honor. I believe he won the tournament this year, or 2016 tournament. He's a great guy. He would be perfect in the Cruiserweight division. He would be something that WWE needs, another guy that's really athletic, and he connects really good with the fans too. He's an amazing talent. I kind of hope that, excuse me, I kind of hope they do sign him. Ooh, excuse me. I kind of hope they do sign him and let him, get his shot down, especially in NXT. I think he'd fit really good. The crowd would love him. They would eat it right up. And the other person's name that's been thrown around a lot has been a guy who was a former Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, a former Ring of Honor World Champion. His name is Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly was a free agent as of January of this year. And, he hasn't wrestled since. He's kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. He won the Ring of Honor title, and about 2 weeks later, he lost the Ring of Honor title to Adam Cole, who lost his title to somebody else. We'll get into that another time. But Kyle O'Reilly pretty much has done nothing. He hasn't been over in Japan like he was before. He hasn't wrestled for Ring of Honor. He hasn't been taking many indie bookings. I'm assuming he's probably resting his body and getting prepared for a moment like this when he can get signed by WWE and be put out there and perform at NXT. Kyle O'Reilly is a really good hand. He's a great wrestler. Like most guys nowadays that come out of the indies who work their ass off and spend years and years and years down there, getting their craft down. They figure it out. They know that the in-ring stuff does matter. Most people don't go to watch just a 3-hour promo. They go there to watch wrestling in the ring, the 20 by 20. Kyle O'Reilly's a really good hand. I would compare him to a guy like Sami Zayn, where he could sell really good. He's a great striker. He's a submission specialist. He does MMA. He trains in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. He teamed for years with a guy by the name of Bobby Fish, who's an MMA fighter over in Japan, who actually became a pro wrestler as well. They won the titles under the team named Red Dragon. Kyle O'Reilly, he's a big star, but not a huge star. If you get what I'm saying, like he's good, but he's not like him signing with WWE isn't what AJ Styles or Nakamura being signed to WWE, But Kyle O'Reilly is a really good wrestler, and him going to NXT would fit perfectly. Um, I have an idea for another video about making NXT a 2 hour show and a list of names of people that WWE should sign for it. But, that will come another day, and Kyle O'Reilly would definitely fit in that role. So, yeah, that's pretty much all the wrestling news that I had for this week. Like I said before, I'm going to try to make sure I keep banging out these videos at least once a week for you guys. Gonna let the news settle in. I'm gonna come up with a prediction show for WrestleMania within the next week. I'm working on a top 10 and a top 5 video for you guys. It's gonna be something that hopefully you guys enjoy. And yeah, hopefully I will see you back next Sunday with a new video. All right, you guys take care.